Fine. Honored guests, honored delegates, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. I would like to start by thanking the organizers for inviting us to this wonderful event, to invite me to moderate this panel with renowned panelists and speakers from the region. The subject of this panel is going to be realizing a countrywide interoperable mobile payment ecosystem. Before I start talking about the panelists, let me first make a quick explanation about some terms within this title. What do we mean by countrywide? When we say a countrywide mobile payment system, we do not mean the mobile wallet that is provided, say, by Starbucks to its customers. We are talking about a countrywide mobile payment system that provides a person-to-person, a person-to-business, person-to-government, bill payments, direct credits, all types of payments that are provided in a country, no matter who your bank is, no matter who your mobile network operator is, and no matter whether you are banked or unbanked. So this is a countrywide service that provided from everybody to everybody within the country. What do we mean by interoperable? Interoperable means it is not going to be a monopolized mobile payment service in the country. It is going to be a service that is provided by so many mobile payment service providers, and they all work in one ecosystem, and they all coexist under one platform, which is the mobile payment clearing platform, which will be providing the switching, the clearing, and the regulatory framework. And then what do we mean by payment? Again, we need to differentiate between a mobile payment and, say, a mobile delivery. When you put an order for a pizza using your mobile, this is not a mobile payment. As per the terms of the World Bank or IMF or BIS, when we say mobile payment, we mean the following. It is the transfer of funds in return for a good or service where the mobile phone is involved in the initiation and the confirmation of the payment. So this is very different than when we talk about an order or delivery using your mobile. It is a complete mobile payment system like any other payment transaction that we do with a bank. The only difference is that the front end is the mobile, it is not the computer, it is not the paper check, it is not any other medium that was used conventionally. So as we start, I would like, before I ask the first question and before I start interrogating the panelists, I will start introducing one at a time. We will be starting with Mr. Badr Al-Aghbari, who is a Vice President at the Central Bank of Oman, CBO, who started working at CBO since 1998, 16 years of which he was at the Payments Department. Mr. Al-Aghbari represents CBO in the regional meetings of GCC over all matters related to payments, and he is a member in the GCC Technical Committee for Payment Systems. Please join me in welcoming Mr. Al-Aghbari. Now, to start with, you talked about an innovative mobile payment clearing platform that was very lately launched in Oman. And this was really an innovation to make it happen in such a short period of time in the country. I am not going to talk about, to ask about the schedule or the implementation parts that you have done. I would like to ask about the challenges that you have faced during the implementation of this system. What made it happen, or how were you able to overcome the hurdle of such challenges?
Thank you, Mr. Mishel. We have two types of challenges. One is pre-implementation. and the other is again during implementation and going live on the 23rd. The one which is prior to the implementation was, and excuse my transparency here, sometimes it does happen, conflict between government institutions on who's supposed to handle such, a payment channel, and how best you're supposed to introduce it into the society. So the initial challenge that we faced was how to tackle the issue of not giving up a core functionality of the central bank in terms of playing directly a role in implementing mobile payment in the country. It took us about 2 years, to overcome this challenge. But this is not foreseen by the banking community or even beyond the banking community. It was discussed and debated within closed doors to ensure that such conflicts is clear, and now directly the central bank is the sole player in terms of the payment infrastructure. That was mainly the major challenge. Now, of course, when you come to a new, new system to be implemented, you always ask yourself, how best I should introduce this? What type of model? And you do a site visit and you listen directly to consultants and vendors in this regard. Now, eventually you get confused on the different adaptation, country-wise, who should be the main players into this new arena. When it comes especially with mobile payments, then telecommunication companies or even those non-financial institutions interested in this regard, they want to also have a stake onto the payment, the national payment via mobile instruments. Again, the second challenge is to decide what suits our country, what suits our role as a central bank. We take care of different perspectives. The legal perspective is one of the major points that we consider. What is allowed, what is not. Whether we have legal support to entertain such a payment channel. Whether also we have the support to engage with non-financial institutions, especially when it comes to the e-money and the e-wallet. That is by itself is also something that we take into consideration. Our oversight, continuous oversight, the maturity of a particular partner. We've been dealing with the banking community especially, and they are well advanced and matured in terms of how to handle payment channels and how to operate payment systems. Now, us engaging with another party, non-financial, by itself it has our own concerns. However, and that is also the other type of challenge, is how to entertain the pressure from this. Even the pressure of, the ethical pressure that, gives us a position is not to avoid third parties, not to avoid non-financial institutions, but also how to bring them on board so that they will close the gap if such a gap is available within operating such a system. How to plan it in a very strategical perspective to engage those third parties at a particular time. That was also a challenge. Now, during the implementation, there is no much of challenges except to bring everybody, and I'm talking here about the banking community, the commercial bank, who are providing banking services via mobile, how to bring them on a focus that there is a very determined action plan, implementation plan. And because of our long relationship with the banking community. We came into an agreement that this is the best way of handling such an implementation. And they know the central bank, they know the engagement of the central bank, we know each other in terms of how to push certain things. And we managed, with the support of everybody, to successfully implement this and to go live, especially as I have mentioned, on the 23rd of July.
Thank you. I will have to come back on so many notes on what you've said, but before that I would like to introduce Mr. Abdullah Al-Ajmi, who is the CEO of Kainet, and Kainet is the only payment switch in Kuwait. It started in 1993, and in the year 2012 Mr. Al-Ajmi became the CEO of Kainet. By the way, maybe it is worth mentioning that in that specific year, Kainet got the award of His Excellency the Emir of Kuwait for their excellence for what they have done in the country. So Mr. Al-Ajmi is a member of the GCC Net Technical Committee since 1997. My question to Mr. Al-Ajmi is that Kainet has done a superb job in Kuwait, being the only payment switch in the country. What is your overview? How do you see the concept of a one payment platform for all mobile payment service providers in a country?
Yeah. Well, thank you for the introduction. And as you mentioned, Mishel, that Kainet is a private company owned by all the Kuwaiti banks in Kuwait. And when we talk about one platform, we believe that you need to have one layers to offload the banks and to create an environment that all service provider can provide the services for the end user. Banks are busy with other things because when you run a national payment system, I mean, there will be the clearing, settlement, standardizing. Things are moving very fast on these things, and we all know I was trying to review some numbers about Oman, and it's the same case. Like in Kuwait, there is twice number of mobiles than people. So it's a good way to have all these payments coming through the mobiles. But you wanted to keep it also in control by having one entity looking after all the settlement happening for these payments. At the same time, keep it easy for people to initiatives payments. Like in Kuwait, I was talking with Mishal yesterday, is when there is we call it. We don't call them merchants only, but we have more than 1,000 participate in our platform. Could be big telcos, airlines, or could be someone selling flowers or foods. And there is the growth on these things. It's around that areas of small payments where you need again to keep one.
I will have to come back on that again after a quick introduction to Mr. Majid Al-Amri, who has developed diverse experiences in sales, business development, besides finance and accounting in the country. He was involved in the startup of the first fintech startup in Oman, which is Thawani. And the reason why Mr. Majid Al-Amri is here is that we learned a lot of interesting news about this fintech startup, and I would like him to elaborate on this to let us know what does he have to tell us.
Thank you very much, Michelle, for the introduction. Before I go on and start talking about the Thawani startup, let me ask you how much time do I have, because that can take the full session or I can make it in few lines. How much time will you give me to elaborate more into Thawani?
7 to 8 minutes.
7 to 8 minutes, okay, that's a good time. The Thawani startup was established in March 2016. Sorry. Can you adjust with it? I think now it's good. I'll just hold it, it's better like this. So the startup was established officially in March last year. It has been trying to evolve for a while, trying to find the right fit into the market. And you asked me about what makes Thawani special or what is so interesting about Thawani. Before I go on into the solution itself, let's just draw the right lines between what Thawani does and what our partners in the banking industry also are doing actually. Thawani is a technology provider. We don't cross or we don't jump into the banking itself. Our main business focus or our model focuses into breaching the gap between end user requirements or the fastly accelerating technological changes and between what is being in the market today or what is being offered as infrastructures. Usually changes to infrastructures to existing solutions takes its own time and it doesn't happen in a day or night. But surprisingly, the market is accelerating in a very rapid speed. That the gap is getting bigger and bigger. And that's where technology or financial technology providers or the fintech providers like Thawani comes into the picture. So we try to build a bridge between the existing channels and the existing systems and between what the market is expecting, whether from users or from merchants. So Thawani as a model was built specifically to suit the local Omani requirements. We spent a lot of time trying to understand what the market exactly needs and where are the current gaps that we need and we have to fill. And we started actually the other way. Usually you get a running system and you try to modify it. We decided to spend much more time and start gathering the right needs and defining the right or the existing gaps. And then we started building the system trying to fill those gaps. And alhamdulillah, we managed to corporately launch our solution last May. And hopefully soon we will launch for end users. So currently we are on the process of onboarding merchants to come into the system. Now Thawani as a model, we ride into the existing solutions like the existing card payments gateways. For example, the mobile clearing solution that has been launched by Central Bank recently. So we ride into those existing solutions and our strength is into the end products or the end channels that we offer to either users or merchants. So as Thawani in value propositions to users or to merchants, our solution is somehow so flexible for merchants. If you look at merchants, like Mr. Abdullah elaborated in Kane, it can be a flower seller and it can be a huge retailer or a telecom provider. The market is very diverse and the range is very wide. Now your offering has to give someone a little bit or it will just focus in one segment. We try to get into micropayments as maximum as we can because that's an area where technology has to go and offer services. You also mentioned countrywide payments and that's also where micropayments also need to be addressed to be included part of the system. We also thought of the mid-range market, which is the SMEs or small-sized companies, small to medium, and also the large corporations. So for each one, we tried to offer something that will help them to get into the technological arena or era by being able to accept mobile payments. So we offered the micro payments. This could be someone who is doing maintenance on your house or somebody who is selling somewhere here in Salala in a remote area, selling ribble for mosquito or selling mishkak or whatever. They can also be part of the system. And we try to make sure that the minimum technological requirements is only required. Just a small phone, regular phone with SMS capabilities is what they need to be able to receive digital payments and another ID or a QR code. So we try to make sure that we can reach to either the smaller merchants with no technology access or to the high-end tech retailer or teleco or businesses. So we focused on offering SMS-based notifications. in-app based notification through the Thawani application. We also offer APIs integration for larger corporations to be able to integrate to their existing solutions, whether it's an ERP system, it's a POS, it's a device, it's a meter, it can be anything that accepts the integration part. Now, from the user side, we try to make it very easy. It's a simple app where you link your banking accounts through your cards, or you use your wallet, which is in link with the existing infrastructure, and then you start paying either from using directly your cards or using your wallet or stored value points. So again, to summarize, in Thawani, the special thing about Thawani is the model itself. We focused a lot into the branding. We focused a lot into user experience, because we believe if you build a nice solution and you invest into fantastic solution, but you don't offer it nicely to end users, I think that will be an issue. If people doesn't know how to use your system, or they find it difficult a little bit to use your system, that will be an issue. We try to make it very easy even for non-technology people to use the system as if they use WhatsApp today, or they use the social media, without any training, without any support from the service providers themselves. So we focused on branding, we focused on user experience, and we focused on the end service offerings either to users or to merchants. Merchants can be paid either with QR codes, or with ID, or with mobile number if they are part of the existing mobile clearing infrastructure. And for a QR code payments, that's all you need, only to accept payments in your store, without any additional devices required, without any changes to your existing infrastructure.
Great, thank you. Now, let me explain exactly what is the mixture that we are doing here. Before explaining that, I would like to say that this is going to be an interactive session. So I'm going to interrogate the panelists only with 2 more questions for each, and we will be answering that very quickly, and then we will have to move to the audience so that we all listen to their feedback or to their questions for the panelists to answer. Now, speaking about the mixture, what we have done here is that we have the public sector who has regulated the mobile payment service. So now it is ready for the businesses to start things up. They have provided the regulations, they have provided the switching and the clearing platforms, and then they have said to the public or to the businesses and to the people, businesses will be doing these services for you people to start using mobile payments as a new payment medium in the country. And we have the switch people who is owned by the private sector, not the public sector. It is owned by the banks, and they are providing switching services for this sake. And we are talking to a solution provider who can be one of so many in the country, and this can be a solution provider or can further move one step ahead towards being a service provider in the country. Having said that, I will come back to Mr. Al-Aghbari and ask that question. Being a regulator, what do you think that a mobile payment service shall look like? Shall it be done by the private sector, or shall it be done by the public sector?
I think I have to support the model that we have adopted and the intention that we try to achieve also on our roadmap, which is starting with public sector. We are to go into a very special, sensitive area when it comes to payment. Introducing channels, it's not a matter of bringing it to the society and let them use it without proper regulation, without proper oversight, without also right resources to manage this functionality. Now, there is no question in terms of that if the public, in particular the central bank, in regards to the payment field, if they start such an initiative, the speed of implementing such a channel the common infrastructure that you introduce it to the banking community and beyond is more appropriate to start it in a fast manner when the central bank, in particular dynamic central bank, if you have the right dynamic people behind the central bank, then that's the proper way of starting such a new payment channel in the country. Eventually, it should go after this to the private sector, but not any private sector. Those who prove that they can manage such a mechanism. So you will focus on overseeing the area. There is, as I have mentioned, the legal perspective is in one area that we should focus on. The deposits, that by nature has to be looked at when it comes to, for example, e-wallets. If we are to introduce non-banks into this scheme, how we will treat the deposits and the bankruptcy of such an institution. Today, the deposits available at the banking sector are secured by an independent scheme. It's called Bank Deposit Insurance Scheme, and that can be easily used whenever it's required. Now, if we are to introduce a private sector and non-financial institutions and to allow them to take deposits, how such a scheme will manage this? This is one of the elements that we have to consider at the beginning. So, in summary, the central bank, if they start something, then they will focus on all aspects. And that's a good start. Then when you can establish such a framework, a clear framework for all the stakeholders, and activate such an oversight, payment oversight within the central bank, then you can easily shift this from a public to a private.
I'm going to come back with this question to two of the audience. Before, just as soon as I finish, I'm going to ask you guys, what do you think about this? But then let me ask Mr. Al-Ajmi now a question about the fees. A very important parameter within any payment transaction is the fees. Who pays the fees? Okay, is it the payer or the merchant or a combination of both? Now, the question to Mr. Al-Ajmi is, how can we come up with a contemporary, innovative idea for fees structure that is, I would say, inviting to the people so that it makes it enticing to them to use the mobile payments?
Well, it's very, very interesting and very challenging, the fees. How do you cost the transaction fees? But before going to that, just a quick overview of what is the transaction type. I'll take examples from Kuwait, and I think it's applied for the rest of the region. We define the low volume transaction as something less than 10 KD, which is an equivalent of about 12.5 Omani Riyal. And amazing that the transaction, we see it, 50% of the volume is less than that. And it keeps growing. The growth is in the low volume transaction. Top-ups, food orders, small tickets. And when you come up with a volume like that, I mean, banks is interesting in more bigger transaction ticket. And also back to the technology. Technology is very expensive. I mean, when you talk about one platform open for any development, Tawani use it, other company use it, you need to come up with a technology that's open for that, and that cost. The availability, the processing, the security cost is also a big chunk, I mean, on these things. 10 years, 20 years ago, security was based on physical security, then it's firewall, but now it's all threats all around, and you are talking about a very open platform. So you have a very high cost, a low ticket, but you need to also come up with a very reasonable cost on the fees. And that's why it's need to go, I mean, it need to be within the country-wise. I need to come up with a very minimum optimum fee structure. Otherwise, people are not willing to pay for these low ticket. We know cash is fast, cash is free. I can give you the 10 KD or the 10 Oman Riyal. I don't need to pay any extra for that. But for any national payment switch, fees need to be really carefully adjusted to adapt to that. I've been visiting countries all around, and we know always about the international scheme and how much does it cost. But that creates a good chance for national-wise schemes. Mainly the driven for that is the fee on that. We have the GCC net, which have its own fees. People in India have Europe Pay. All different countries will have a local schema mainly to drive the fees. But when you go to mobile payment with a lower ticket, with a higher cost, you need even to go lower fees on these things.
Thank you. I would like again to ask everybody here about this. I would like to listen to some innovations, some innovative ideas on how we can come up with a pioneering fees structure that is, I would say, enticing to the public to use mobile payments in the country.
I'll just share with you one thing. I mean, on one of the discussion with some small merchant, he said, come on, Google doesn't charge me anything. Well, why do you want to charge us a fees? So this is what people is expecting, huh?
This is where we want to land.
Yeah.
Exactly. Mr. Al-Amri, being a solution provider for mobile payments, I would like to mention an example for a mobile payment service that we all know of, which is in Kenya, the M-Pesa. And M is for the mobile, and Pesa is the currency, the coin. So in that country, they have done a great job for mobile payments. But the feedback of the international community is that they are monopolizing that service. There is only one mobile payment service provider that is influencing and monopolizing that service. So think of the card business and think of, for example, Visa being the only card payment provider in the whole world. There is no Union Pay, there is no MasterCard, there is no American Express, and so on. What would happen? The fees will be so high, they will be monopolizing the technology, we will be restricted with so many details within that. So it is always great to have so many payment service providers in order to make it enticing to the providers themselves to innovate and to bring more technologies and better ideas. So, being a solution provider, what do you think? It is better to have a one and only payment service provider, or it is better to have as many as you can and leave the competition to decide?
Again, I would say in any business, monopoly is always the enemy of innovation. Monopoly kills innovation completely and also kills value proposition to customers and end users. I don't support monopoly, definitely. We always encourage more providers to come. Competition is always nice as long as it is clean. We heard a long time back during college about the blue ocean strategy. You compete with each other, but keep the ocean blue. And I always like to refer to one of the advertisements from the automobile industry when BMW celebrated their 100 years of operation. Mercedes-Benz posted a very nice video that says the first 25 years without you was so boring. So always competition encourage you to innovate. Competition always good for the end user because that's what gives them more value, and it allows service providers, they have to come up with something new each time to be able to retain their customer and sustain their business. Yeah.
Thank you. One more question to each of the panelists, and then off we go with the audience. I liked the note that Mr. Al-Aghbari mentioned when he talked about Al-Khurda, and which is the Eid giveaway to the kids, and giving it to the kids now in a new manner, which is using the mobile. I really love that idea, and here I would like to mention that only in the US they spent $660 million just to produce the money notes on annual basis. And then the cost of coins and mining and minting, it is costing them $2.9 billion to do that. Now what will happen if we reduce all of this expenditure and we make all of these money notes and coin business transform towards mobile payments? So the whole countries will no more be spending all of this money as we do it, including the khurda and the Eid giveaways for the kids. Now, what do you think, Mr. Al-Aghbari, would be a great idea to make this more enticing to the people? As you mentioned in the presentation, you said that we need to come up with ideas to change the culture. What would be one of the best ideas to change the culture of people from using the money notes and coins towards using the mobile payment? How we can make it enticing to them?
I think it all depends case to case. When we come, I think it's all depending case to case and country-wise. What might be suitable for us might not be for others. For us in Oman, there is two things that is quite important. One is to ensure the continuation of our cultural proudness. Our notes, the physical notes, represent not only an economic instrument to make such an activity, but also it captures historical proudness for the country and for the empire of Oman. Now, deleting this completely and going purely on digital instrument that does not really reflect this, I personally will not. I will not play a proud person to bring such a thing that will cut off our historical continuation in terms of the currency and how we deal with the currencies. If such a digital currency comes with an idea to support the continuation, then definitely the society will adopt into it. That is one. Number two, the support of all the stakeholders is also very important. Support, whether us as, for example, government, we see it in place now, we see it in the field. When the government comes and decide, for example, not to handle cash and not to accept cash against the services that they provide to the public, then now the public is forced to use this electronic means. If today they are forced to use their ATM or credit card, and tomorrow the same thing will be extended to use, for example, e-money and e-wallet, then this is a very active mechanism to move towards the other side of the joke. The more we give it, the more we mandate certain key stakeholders into this, definitely will speed up the adoption in e-money. But this is something also, of course, the awareness, the trust of the public over such channels. This is all tools and instruments to speed up the shift from physical notes to electronic notes.
Thank you. we will have to come back to this point, and I would like to listen to more feedback from the audience on this. The last question for Mr. Al-Ajmi on rolling out the countrywide mobile payment service. If we think that we managed to achieve a countrywide mobile payment service in the country, what do you think would be next? How we can make it look even better?
Regional, because now with all these merchants moving all around the region, I mean, back to some examples from Kuwait business, we already having merchant, either retailers or e-commercer, is moving to the region. I mean, the first wave was the telco companies, where we have only few GCC telco operator, and they are existing all around. And I mean, Zain from Kuwait, Uridu from previously Kuwait or Qatar, Itisalat, the Saudi company. So all of these have now common services for the region. Then we go for the companies like Talabat, Carriage, Souq. They are all operating all around the region. All of them is in a need of payment methods. Cards, mobile payments, but they need to serve their customer, and it's growing massively. Now we have small businesses is moving around in the GCC. They have a success story in one country, and they will keep moving to other countries. So a regional mobile payment is the next on this subject.
Impressive answer. I like this. Definitely, if it continues to be countrywide on a country level only, this will make it crippled for a lifetime. It has to be regional. It is the global village.
Let's go back also to the cost, because I mean, with the more you have a wider acceptance and usages, that will reduce your cost and give you a good chance to have a lesser fees on the end user.
Thank you. Mr. Al-Amri, the last question for you is on the culture and the technology. I am always worried about how our kids are going to be using the cash or the checks or the paperwork in general. Mr. Godfrey, Jean-Michel talked about the paperwork payment instruments will definitely not exist in the near future, and I totally agree with him. We have to come up with something that fits for our new generations. I will have to tell you, for example, about the kids of now. We all know they use Uber, they use Amazon, they use Google Pay, they use Apple Pay. They are all into their mobiles and emails and Facebook and all of this stuff. So they come now from a different culture and they come from a different background. If we are not ready for them with all of the new payment instruments, they will not be able to match with the payment instruments that were available in the past 20 years or so. Let me, for example, mention, if I want to drive my son to his friend's house today, trust me, he does not accept that I drive him by my car. He thinks that he is no more independent if I drive him. He uses Uber, and he goes with Uber to his friend, and he feels more independent as he's doing that. So he's going to do the same if he wants to do a payment transaction in the future. So based on this statement, what do you think, or how do you think we can bring a new culture that is up to the expectations of the new generation?
Going back to the same examples that you have mentioned, and maybe this is a question that I will throw back to the audience, is that we friendly use social media apps. We friendly use chatting apps like WhatsApp. I believe everyone around this room uses WhatsApp. And the question that I keep always using in most of my discussions, that we don't have those service providers in our countries. They are not there. We don't have call centers to support us. We don't have support centers to support us. But we use them nicely. We don't have any issue using WhatsApp. We don't have any issue using any social media application, whether it's Facebook or Instagram or Twitter. But there is no Twitter maybe or WhatsApp in the GCC. The whole GCC, they don't exist. So the question is to go back with culture. Personally, I believe it's user experience. User experience by understanding and knowing what the new generation expects from technology and offering that somehow into your platform will help you a lot get over a lot of cultural challenges with regards adapting the solution itself or usability of the system. So I would say by clearly understanding where the next generation, like you said, your son doesn't want you to take him, he wants to use Uber. So Uber has made it very easy to use. I don't know, many people around this room has used Uber. It doesn't require a genius to use Uber. It's just a simple app that you can use nicely and freely. Likewise with the other systems. So the trick on my perspective is offer it simply to user. Keep it as simple as you can. It will fly by itself.
So the answer is user-friendly apps. We have 10 minutes. And we are going to make $1 million question with a $1 million answer that is answered only in 30 seconds, not even in a minute. I would like to listen to many responses on the question that I asked to Mr. Al-Aghbari, which is, now if I ask everybody to raise the hand, would you be happier to use coins and money notes or happier to use the mobile in order to pay to your taxi driver? Who will pay by cash? Who will pay by mobile? Interesting. So we have a very good start now. So, say it again. Then I will ask you the question that I asked to Mr. Al-Amri. How do you think? He answered user-friendly apps. How do you think we make it more enticing to the public, to the new generation, to use those apps or to use the mobile payment, not to use the cash and coins?
Although today the new generation, they like the technology, still there is a worries about the money. Because money is value. It's having something that's value for everybody. WhatsApp, when I use WhatsApp, it's a WhatsApp. In the end, there is nothing. There is no financial risk. So when it comes to the wallet, it's a good idea, good, I can say, channels going forward. What exactly we are concerned as a bankers, now again, banking community. We are thinking about the investment, and investment today is not only the hardware and the software. It's come under also the compliance. The compliance risk or compliance also arrangement is very high. So when it's come to the part of the fees, it's actually need to be considered because the banking also they are investing more on the technology, more on the hardware and software. Plus, we need to just educate the public. Now look at the, I can say, fraudulent which has happened on the market. Start from Swift up to the online banking, up to the checks. Actually, it's come from the people awareness. It's not there. And I guess only attend one of the seminar. It was in Dubai, and it was from one of the famous bank, Wells Fargo, and they said we are responsible since we opened the gate for those people to just only access our customer base, which is actually online banking or the other services. So I mean here the bank community, of course, with the guidance of the regulatory, need to just only pay more attention to that part and educate the people much. So on the WhatsApp, it's totally differs. When it's come to the payment, it's totally differs world where we need to just only consider every risk aspect around it.
So the hint that I got from your answer, which I really like, is that why WhatsApp managed to be all around, because the subscription for it is for free. So if we manage to do mobile payment subscription also for free, this will make it more enticing to everybody to do that. Mr. Shatti.
This is, I think, a very interesting subject to talk about cash versus electronic payments. And I think we need a longer time to discuss it because I don't believe it is a war between both cash and against electronic payment. They complement each other. Statistics says that actually electronic payment is growing. Also, statistics says that actually the number of banknotes worldwide is increasing in the 10 years. So there is something. There is no right or wrong. There is no one taking over the other. It's so complex issue. And I think here where I come, actually, I suggest maybe in the next conference is to have a session about this, which is e-payments versus cash, to have a fair study analysis actually why both are growing now. Actually they are not cash, except the Scandinavian area, the cash number, the volume of circulation actually going down. The rest of the world actually is growing up in the last 10 years. So there's something that needs to be clarified. That's my suggestion for next year probably. Can I jump to a question to Mr. Badr, if you don't mind? First, congratulations for this great project. Very well done. I'm very proud. But I want to know how you tackle the dispute part of it. I mean, if you can't touch on it, so I'll appreciate that. The dispute between, for example, if a customer complains, well, I transferred money, well, it's not there, it didn't reach there. Who's actually governing this part?
See, the central bank has given an operating rules which provide guidelines on how to manage these disputes. I would lie if I said that we have done it so far in practical perspective because we went live only last week. It's premature to reflect this in reality. But we've been managing the dispute of ATM point of sale transactions. The mechanism there, the concept is exactly the same. It could be, a different terminal, a different way of handling cash transfers, but the concept theoretically is exactly the same. The same manners will be also adopted when it comes to mobile payment and mobile payment disputes.
شكرا جزيلا للإخوة الأستاذ ميشيل والإخوة المحاضرين. ما في شك أنه الجلسة كانت ثرية جدا ببعض المعلومات، لكن اسمحوا لي أنه بس هل ممكن أسأل الإخوة الثلاثة مع بعض؟
طبعا.
أنا بقدم الأسئلة مع بعض وعاد هم يجاوبوا عليها متى ما رأوا أنه الوقت مناسب. ببتدي بالأخ العزيز ماجد.
معنا 3 دقائق.
ماشي الحال. طبعا هو جزاه الله خير أشار إلى موضوع قضية الضمانات وأيضا اهتم بالجانب الآخر، وهؤلاء الأشخاص الذين معرفتهم بالتكنولوجيا محدودة، من يتعاملون بالمعاملات الخفيفة. أنا فقط خوفي وسؤالي حول هؤلاء الأشخاص، ما هي المهارات او السكيلز اللي انتم راح تقدمونها للاخوان هذول اللي هم او بتقدمونها للمتعاملين المبتدئين مع التكنولوجيا، لو استطعنا نخليها بين قوسين. هذا بالنسبه للاستاذ ماجد. بالنسبه للاستاذ عبد الله، طبعا انتم تقدموا خدمه ما في شك، وهذه اتكلم عن الفيز اللي اشار لها الاستاذ ميشيل. احنا نعتقد انه يعني بالذات المستخدم العادي والإنسان اللي يطلب هذه الخدمة يختلف عن الشركات الكبيرة وعن اللي هم المتعاملين الكبار في وأيضا المستفيدين، لأن قدر الاستفادة نفس المستوى. أنا اشتريت شيء بريال أو اشتريته ب1000 ريال، في النهاية الخدمة اللي تقدم لي إياها واحدة. فيعني أنا أعتقد أنه دائما الغنم بالغرم، أنتوا تستفيدوا، وبالتالي أنا أعتقد أنه يفترض أنه المستخدم العادي تخلوا لها نوع من أنواع الزكاة، هذه ما تأخذون عليه فيز. فما أريد أسمع تعليقك. أخي بدر، قد لا أتفق معك في قضية يعني أنت جزاك الله خير أشرت إلى كثير من الآثار،
والأبعاد اللي قد يعني تنتج من خلال استخدام الخردة أو الفلوس هذه، لأنه طبعا أستاذ ميشيل ركز على المصاريف اللي تنتج عن القيام بعمليات عملوا 100 بيسة جديدة وريال جديد والكوينز. أنا أعتقد أن هناك في بعد اجتماعي آخر، خاصة في المثال اللي تفضلت فيه فيما يتعلق بالعيدية. فهناك بعد اجتماعي ثقافي كبير جدا، وانت اشرت له. احنا مثل ما احنا ايضا فخورين بالعمله هذه لانها تمثل او تشهد بالامبراطوريات والتاريخ للدول، ايضا قضيه العيديه هناك في بعد انساني ونفسي واجتماعي ابوي رحمي بالنسبه بين الطفل وبين مقدم هذه العيديه. فانا التمس من الاستاذ ميشيل يسال نفس السؤال المتعلق بدفع التاكسي، يساله للعيديه من يحب انه يدفع العيديه بالاي بيمنت ومن يحب يدفعها بالكاش، وبنشوف الاجابه طبعا. شكرا جزيلا، اعتذر بس اذا في اطاله يعني.
نعم، اول شيء بخصوص العيديه انا افضل اخذها كاش لانه ريحه الكاش غير. بخصوص السؤال اللي تفضلت فيه بالنسبة للناس اللي يعني limited access للتكنولوجي، كيف احنا نساعدهم وندعمهم؟ احنا في البداية هذا الفئة من الناس واحنا ابتدينا هذا النوع من ورش العمل بالتعاون مع الريادة، نعمل لهم نوع من الدورات والمحاضرات والتوعوية اللي تفهمهم كيف يستخدموا النظام. طبعا هم بشكل يومي أثناء عمليات الدفع ما مطلوب منهم أي نوع من أنواع التعامل التقني إطلاقا، هو فقط توصل رسالة بالتنبيه أنه وصل له مبلغ واستلم مبلغ. لكن إحنا عندنا في الباك إند السيستم عندنا يقوم بعملية الحساب ويقوم بعملية التسوية ويقوم بعملية الإيداع بشكل أوتوماتيك بالارتباط مع البنوك الداعمة اللي إحنا نشتغل معها. فبالتالي هو مطلوب منه جهود جدا جدا قليلة في جانب التقنية، ولو احتاج إلى مزيد من الدعم يكون لهم ناس مخصصين عندنا في الشركة لمساعدتهم وتوضيح أي نقطة تغم عليهم.
ما راح نطول، ما قل دل يعني. انزين، عجبني التعليق على الزكاة. طبعا احنا انزين شركة إسلامية سوف نؤدي الزكاة يعني. هذا هو التحدي، في ان انت عندك عمليات كثيره وفي كوست معها، في تكلفه على هالعمليات والاشياء اللي بس دائما في طرق تدرس بحيث انك يا تقلل الرسوم، مرات في مصادر اخرى للرسوم. يعني لكم شايفين من الشركات الكبيره مو عيب الناس يتعلم مثلا من اليوتيوب يطلع فلوسه من الاعلانات. هل مثلا التاجر او هذا يقبل انه يكون في اعلانات معينه يدفعون لهم ناس ثانيين بحيث انها تقلل الرسوم او تشيل الرسوم؟ في بعض الاماكن ابدوا لنا ان انا محتاج اعرف المعلومات الشرائيه، الناس وين يشترون، متى يشترون، وكل هذه تقدر تطلع منهم مصادر تقدر تخفف الرسوم اللي موجوده عليك او تلقيهم، يعتمد على شلون تتسوى الطريقه كحسبه في هالموضوع. في النهايه في كوست لازم يكون في تغطيه، سواء كانت طبعا في لما يكونون تجار التغطيه من التاجر لانه هو المستفيد، بس لما تكون العمليه من شخص لشخص يعني اللي انت لازم تحسب الرسوم بشكل تفصيلي عشان تقدر تشوف شنو المناسب حق الموضوع. ما بياخذ وقت كثير يعني، بس انا موجود يا رئيس.
انا اتفق بلا شك مع الاخ الدكتور فيما يخص موضوع التعامل يعني والمحور الاجتماعي والنفسي فيما يخص موضوع الخردة. بس السؤال مطروح، هل احنا اللي نعطي الخردة؟ يطرح لنا هذا السؤال، ام الاطفال اللي بكره ياخذوا الفلوس ويقول لك ان احنا نحتاج هذا عن طريق المحفظة الإلكترونية؟ يعني البنوك احنا ربما يعني علاقتنا بهم علاقة قريبة، نعرف بموجب الأرقام التعامل عبر الوسائل الإنترنت والإلكترونيك، التعامل بتقديم خدمات مصرفية إلكترونية، ونشوف إنه أرقام يعني حتى من قبل البنك نفسه ما كانت متوقعة. ما ممكن غض النظر عن إنه مجتمعنا شريحة كبيرة منه مجتمع يعني صغير العمر، حاب إنه هو يتعامل مع هذه الخدمات بسبل إلكترونية حديثة. يعني أنا ما أحسه حتى في أمر الخردة، وطبعا حتى هو انعكاس على مدى حرص أجيالنا إحنا إنها تدعم استمرارية الثقافة يعني وانعكاس هذه الثقافة من خلال يعني العملة الورقية، مدى تقبل الأجيال القادمة لهذه الحضارة والتزامهم بها، بحيث أنه فعلا يرفضوا استقبال هذه الخردة بوسيلة أخرى وليست وسيلة الخردة الجديدة. فالسؤال يعني جدا في محله، وأنا من الناس يعني اللي حاب أنه يشوف البنك المركزي يلعب دور مستمر في توفير هذه الخردة الجديدة، حتى كمستقبل لخردة جديدة وليس كعاطي. لكن بلا شك الأجيال القادمة ربما يكون لها وجهة نظر مختلفة ومغايرة.
I do apologize. Thank you, Mr. الأغبري. Please, I have to excuse myself. I need to first apologize to the organizers for taking 5 more minutes of our schedule for this session. Please note that the panel did not end. We can discuss this all over the day and tomorrow and even beyond the event itself. So we will always be there to discuss this matter because it is an ongoing one. Allow me to thank Mr. الأغبري, Mr. العجمي and Mr. العامري for this wonderful participation in this panel. Thank you for listening, and please feel free to approach us and to discuss this matter all together during the rest of the day and tomorrow. Thank you.